Good morning. Hello, it's Ann popping on behind my apron bright and early this morning because I am going to remind you how to make absolutely the best roast ever that you never even need to check on, okay? Yes, I'm using my stoneware covered baker. This is called the deep covered baker. Yours, of course, would be a cream color right now because this cranberry baker is probably 20 years old. I don't know, but it's so loved. I'm not switching to a cream one just because that's current. I think I can tell you guys if you would love one of these, they're cream colored in the current line. But look, the uglier they look, the better they cook. So they season as you use them. Now, what's so special about a stoneware oven or a stoneware piece? It's like turning your oven into a brick stoneware oven. Moisture does magic, as you're going to see from this roast recipe, but it's the best thing I make sourdough in. Fabulous for your upcoming stuffing recipe. Any casserole. I just can't speak highly enough about it. And this roast recipe is so easy and so moist. So if you've ever had a roast that has been maybe a poor cut or a roast that you think you've overcooked and dried out, if you follow this recipe and use a stone baker, it's like truly magic. You will be able to spin it this evening with a fork like spaghetti if you want to. And so I am just putting in a roast. I just grabbed one out of the freezer. This happens to be a chuck roast. Like I said, does not matter the cut you do. And when you're only cooking for one or two, you might think you don't want to do a roast very often because what are you going to do with the extra, right? Because that's too much for me, obviously. Well, there are so many recipes that you can use a beef roast for. In fact, I probably am not going to even eat this like a roast. I will use some of the meat and I will make Italian beef. I will use some of the meat and I will make a sourdough roast beef Gouda melt. I actually probably will take some of the meat and make a French onion soup recipe. So many things that you can do with this besides just serving a roast with potatoes and carrots, okay? So really easy. We add a few ingredients. We're gonna put a can of beer, any kind of beer, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, doesn't matter. Use what's left over. So I happen to have a can of Wine and Kugels beer left over from a tailgate. So that is going in the bottom of my pan. And then a few days ago, you saw me make my minced garlic. If you were watching, if you weren't watching, you can go back on my timeline and find it. So in the prep bowl here, I have my own, whoops, wrong prep bowl, time out, that was soup. Let me grab my other prep bowl. See, that's why I'm the pampered chef, not the perfect chef. I have my own fresh minced garlic. So I'm going to take, it's done in olive oil. So I'm going to take a nice big scoop of this because the recipe, if you were going to press your own cloves, calls for 5 or 6 garlic cloves put over the top of the roast, okay? So lots of garlic. Then a half a package of French onion soup mix. And then lastly, a can of beef consomme. And I know I've showed this recipe before, and there were some people that asked, was beef consomme really important? Could I just use beef broth? Because I have beef broth on hand. And you know what? Beef consomme is just more concentrated. So if you have beef broth on hand, if you made it and it's homemade, it's probably plenty concentrated. But if it's just cubes or something, you might want to do a little bit more because you can see how dark this is. So pour your can of beef consomme over the roast and in the roaster. And then you simply put the lid on and put this in a 250-degree oven. And 8 hours, 12 hours. I've done it overnight a ton of times. So at least 8 though, okay? Give yourself at least 8 before you decide you need to eat some of it. Super simple, absolutely love making it. It's a no-fail recipe. And then one other thing that's really great in here in this deep covered baker is if you have trouble cooking pork chops, if they get dry on you, this is magic, okay? You guys, please drop in the comments below what your go-to roast is that you love. That would be fun to know. And since it's a Thursday, are you cooking tonight? If you are, if you're making dinner tonight at home, what is it? I'd love to know. Plus, everybody else loves to know too. It gives everybody some ideas. See you soon.